Hey everyone, Action here. Today I'll be showing you everything that I learned with more than 3.5 thousand hours in Stellaris to help you have a strong lead in the early game. I use most of these in my runs against the 25 times crisis because the early game is the most important part of the game, since you can snowball your early lead so hard in Stellaris that it is impossible for other empires to catch up. Now, one thing that is very important is that you can use these tips with every empire in the game. It does not matter if you are mercantile, such as Megacorps, Gestal Consciousness, or even Fanatic Purifiers. There will always be some differences, but I will be covering them as well. This way you can improve every single one of your builds and become stronger than ever in the early game, and perhaps even expand this power to the mid and late game. Now, without further ado, let's get to our first tip, which is set up the correct government policies. Now, most empires will always start with the expansionist diplomatic stance. However, some isolationist empires will have this one, whereas fanatic purifiers will have the purification, and it cannot be changed. Now, these depend on your goal for the early game. Right now, the meta is to ascend, currently with synthetic ascension because of the Machine Age DLC. But once patch 4.0 drops, it's gonna be probably a mix between bio and machine ascension. Either way, getting more unity is crucial for you to finish the traditions and expand your empire. Now, another good one would be cooperative if you want to have good relations with your neighbor empires and also establish something like a federation early into the game. Now, keep in mind that federations are extremely overpowered, and perhaps if you are going for a trade build, this one can also be very important. Now, belligerent is kinda useless in the early game because the naval capacity is not gonna be a problem. You can just build anchorages and improve your naval cap quite easily. However, later on into the game, this one can make a very huge difference. So for this run, we'll go with Isolationist to improve our unity production, especially because we also have the Parliamentary Civic, which forms our factions very early into the game, and thus will have a very large production of unity. Now, another good policy you need to set is the economy policy. Because in Stellaris, you basically have the civilian economy or militarized economy for regular bio-empires, and what it does is improves either your consumer goods from jobs or the alloys from jobs at the cost of the other. So unless you're trying to conquer your neighbors early into the game, I would suggest you go for the civilian economy because getting an extra 25% consumer goods from jobs is gonna help out building your research labs and filling more administrative offices if you wanna do the Unity Rush. However, I advise that if you have loads and loads of nearby habitable planets, you can actually use the militarized economy to build more star bases and also your colony ships. But for this run, we'll be using the civilian economy. Now, the initial border status, I always tend to leave it closed, because this way, if we establish contact with another empire, it will be much easier for us to establish our borders. However, later on into the game, after we have conquered every system that we wanted, we can leave it open so we have better relations with other empires. Speaking of relations, we can also set the first contact protocol to proactive, cautious, or aggressive. Now, proactive will be much better if you want to establish good relations, and it also grants us plus 50% more influence. Now, this influence can be used to further expand our starbase outposts. However, it will make you much more vulnerable to aggressive attacks by the AI, meaning that your leaders can be killed if they are exploring the nearby empires and they have a military ship nearby. And if you want to be on the aggressive side, setting the first contact protocol to aggressive will enable you to actually claim their systems and conquer them before even establishing the first contact. So you can actually just destroy their empire before even knowing who they are. It is a very good first contact protocol if you are a genocidal empire, because either way you're gonna have terrible relations with everyone, so you might as well just do it. But for this run, we're gonna be proactive. Now, another good thing you need to do is establish your monthly trades. I will be leaving here in the video the limit for the monthly trades for the internal market. Now, if you keep your monthly buy and sell between these limits, the price will always stay constant, meaning it won't increase in time and bankrupt your economy in the future. So here we have a surplus of 81 energy credits every month, and we can use the surplus to buy more important resources in the early game, which in our case will be consumer goods since we are only producing 3. So let's go ahead and buy 10 of them. Actually, let's buy 12. We'll also buy 2 alloys and 30 minerals. And since we also have a surplus of food, and food cannot be used for many things, we'll sell 20 of them. And if you're enjoying this, join our navy and help us build something greater. High Command has called for 1,000 new commanders to be enlisted, and your skills and leadership are vital to our mission of defending the universe. Our empire is spawned in a nebula, so we do not have intel about the nearby systems, making it kinda hard for us to know where our habitable planets are. However, we can utilize our scientists to explore the nearby systems. This way, he won't be wasting much time surveying every planetary body, but instead making a quick survey of the system and looking out if there are any habitables nearby. We can also do the same thing with our military fleet, but this one has a little trick that I will just show you how to do it. So we first split the fleet into 3, and for every one of our corvettes, we are gonna send them in close to the hyperlanes. After we do that, we select our corvette that has our admiral and click on the hyperlane. This way the fleet will initiate the jump to the unknown system, and when you see the ship animation from jumping, you can actually just reselect your admiral to another fleet and do the same step. It's also doing the same animation, and we go to our third corvette and change our admiral as well. Now here we have all of our 3 corvettes jumping to the nearby systems, although only one of them have an admiral. So this way we explored 3 systems with only 1 admiral, making our exploration much quicker. We also already found our first habitable world. And this can be done for every system in the game, not just your starting one. So you can pretty much cover the whole galaxy with no time. Now, since we already found both of our habitable worlds, we can select our scientists to survey the nearby system. Ideally, we wanted to survey the Sirius one because the planet is a size 19, whereas on the Alpha Centauri it is only a size 12. However, it would take a very long time for our scientists to reach the Sirius system, so it is better for us to survey the Alpha Centauri instead. Now that we have 400 minerals, I heavily recommend you start building a second research lab, because at the start of the game we only have 1, and thus if we build another one, the marginal gain is massive. Here you can see that it's gonna take 114 months for the research to finish, and for the assembly panels it's gonna take 133. So this number is quite high, like 10 years for one technology. It's not very good. However, you're gonna see the difference when we build the second one. We can also start building up our colony ship preemptively before even conquering the habitable system planets. So because the colony ship takes so much time to finish the construction, it's gonna give us enough time to finish the survey on Alpha Centauri and actually build a star post there as well, accelerating our progress. And now that we have finished our research lab, you can see that the tech time it has greatly reduced to only 70 months for the physics, only 24 for the planetary unification, and 80 for the assembly patterns. And this also gave us enough time to finish up our first agenda. And the first tradition is very important because it's gonna pretty much set up the pace of your empire. And for this tutorial, since we actually do not have any endgame goals, we can pretty much just grab the best one for the early game, which is Statecraft. Now the reason for that is Statecraft has a very good early pick, which is amongst peers, and what it does is every time we launch an agenda, all counselors will gain 150 EXP per skill level. And if you are a regular Bio-Empire, your counselor members can have the Destiny traits, and those traits are one of the best in the game, so you definitely want to level them up as quickly as possible. So by grabbing amongst peers this early into the game, we can go ahead and launch our agendas and all of our leaders will gain a boost to their EXP. Our head of research already reached level 2, and all other leaders are one step closer to that goal as well. Now agendas are a very important part of your empire, and your second one is probably gonna be your most important agenda. So here we have two very good options. The first one is expand the council, which ideally I would recommend you do it for most of your runs. However, evolving society is a tremendously powerful agenda if you want a unity rush and ascend as quickly as possible, because the extra plus 10% monthly unity combined with the diplomatic stance of isolationist is gonna give you plus 20% right off the start of the game. And after you launch the agenda, that bonus gets increased to plus 50%. So yeah, it's pretty bonkers. And if you decide to go for statecraft, it is important you have at least the constitutional focus as well, because it increases the council agenda speed by 25%, and that synergizes with amongst peers tremendously well, because you're gonna launch agendas even quicker and your councilor leaders will evolve faster as well. Later on, when you have the necessary unity, you could probably go with shared benefits, which would increase your effective counselor skill by plus 1. And having more effective counselor skill is definitely gonna improve your economy overall. Another very important thing is for you to don't build all the mining stations you find. Only build the good ones. And how do you know that is a good one? Well, you actually need to consider two things. First, you're gonna spend 100 minerals to build every single starbase, and second, mining and research station have an upkeep of 1 energy credit. So for instance, here on our Savant Empire homeworld, we have the Ganymede mining station, which produces only 2 minerals. Now if we were to build a mining station here, it would cost us 100 minerals and also the upkeep of 1 energy. And since 1 mineral costs around 1.3 energy, it means that this station will actually be making us a net 0.7 minerals every month. And because we spend 100 minerals, it's gonna take a very long time for this endeavor to pay out. However, if you look at this in the Proxima Centauri B, it's producing 6 minerals at the same upkeep, thus it is much more efficient. And I know that this is just one mining station, but if we apply the same strategy for every mining station that we have on our empire, the difference becomes very significant. And if you have learned something new with this tutorial, please let me know in the comments section down below. I plan on doing more tutorials in the future, and I would also like to know your guys' opinion on them and which tutorial do you want to see next. Now another good thing we can do is offer trade deal with them and grab communications and active sensor link. This way we can know more empires in the galaxy and develop a plan for our empire with more information. And here we have established communications with other empires, discovered so many new archaeological sites, and there it is, the Overmind. So what we can do instead is just trade with the Overmind again for more communications and active sensor link, and this way we can establish contact with the whole galaxy. Now the good part about establishing contact with the more empires as possible is that the galactic community requires any empire to know at least 70% of all empires in the galaxy. So if you can establish these contacts, you can accelerate the formation of the galactic community and thus the resolutions you can pass. So I heavily recommend you trade contacts. It is something that is very, very underrated by everyone else, but it is a very important part if you want to have a strong empire later on. Now this was all of our tips for the early game, at least for now. There are many more that I will show you in future videos for mid-game, end-game, and planetary management tutorials, and I want to know your opinion. Did you guys enjoy today's video? Was it worth it? Did it provide value to you? And also we have our brand new YouTube members. And if you want to be one of our founder members, you can join right now. Founders are time limited and have benefits, and will get even more benefits in the future when the channel grows further. This extra support will fund the ever-growing expansion of our empire. Now thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.